r/AskReddit. What is the most unbelievable fact that is actually true? Australia exports camels to the Middle East. Giraffes used to be called camelopards. Mitochondria have their own separate DNA. Theodore Roosevelt's grandson overthrew Iran for the US government. Duke the dog was the mayor of Cormorant, Minnesota for 4 consecutive terms before retiring at the age of 91. Dog years. I live on the east coast of Australia, and the fire burning a stone's throw to my west is verging on the size of the UK. We're only a month into summer with the hottest days still ahead of us. I'll be surprised if the entire state isn't turned to ashes by the end of the season. During World War II, the United States government not only temporarily legalized weed production, but released an educational documentary about how to properly grow marijuana plants. The Japanese occupation of the Pacific Theaters cut basically all of America's hemp supply. The shortage was so bad that the government granted farmers who grew it, and their families, immunity from the draft. Then once World War II was over, the Department of Agriculture worked tirelessly to try and destroy all evidence they'd done this. They failed. You can still see documentary on YouTube. The longest boxing match ever took 110 rounds or approximately 7.5 hours. Cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, kale, Brussels sprouts, collard greens, Savoy, kohlrabi, gaylan, and more are all the same species of plant called Brassica oleracea. There are more public libraries in the USA than there are McDonald's. There is a species of tick that if it bites you, you'll become allergic to red meat. Edit. Row. Thanks for platinum. The universe is somewhere around 13 billion years old, yet it is theorized to have enough energy to continue its existence for another 100 trillion years. We are at the very beginning of everything, relatively speaking. The two that get me the most. Gwen Stefani is older than Ted Cruz. There is a fence in Australia longer than the distance from Nick to London. Carl, the long-haired badass hardcore bad guy from Die Hard, was a hardcore professional ballet dancer. Some species of turtles can breathe out of their buttholes. In 1956, a man named Tommy Fitzpatrick stole a small plane from New Jersey for a bet and then landed it perfectly on the narrow street in front of the bar he had been drinking at in Manhattan. 2 years later, he did it again after someone didn't believe he had done it the first time. What's even crazier is the punishment for the first time ended up being only $100 fine, since the charges were dropped by the owner of the plane, and the second resulted in only 6 months in jail. Can you imagine someone getting away so lightly nowadays? Here is an article about it. European ships sailed the Pacific for over 250 years without discovering Hawaii. That every second in the entirety of our universe, somewhere out there a star explodes as I type in my words on Reddit. Time dilation. GPS systems wouldn't work without taking this into account, which is something most people think of as science fiction or at best some theoretical thing. Atlanta, Texas is closer to Atlanta, Georgia than it is to El Paso, Texas. Also, Bristol, Tennessee is close to Canada than it is to Memphis, Tennessee. Only 5% of the ocean has been discovered and or explored. The word factoid originally meant something that was false but considered to be true. Oxford Dictionary. An assumption or speculation that is reported and repeated so often that it becomes accepted as fact. That we create as much information in 2 days than humanity did since its inception up to 2003. Canaries were named after the Canary Islands, which were named after dogs found on the islands. Clouds can weigh over 1 million pounds. There are over 10 million times more viruses on Earth than there are stars in the known universe. If you were to stack every virus on top of each other, the tower would reach a height of 200 million light years, past the edge of the Milky Way. I did the math to try and prove it wrong, but I don't see any mistake. I still cannot believe corn is older than blue eyes. If we are lucky, we still live only around 850 hours. In 1508, Rats were summoned to stand trial in the village of Orton, having been charged with theft and destruction. They had eaten the farmer's crops. Being rats, they did not attend and were about to be sentenced in absentia. But it was decided that they should have the right to fair representation and were appointed a lawyer named Bartholomew Chassenay. He argued that since it was not one rat, but all rats that were to be summoned, there is no possible way word could have reached them all, and as a result, the hearing should be set for a later date. It was. However, the rats did not attend the second hearing either, because they were rats. This time, Chassenay argued that the rats could not attend due to reasons of duress. Being considered vermin, travel to the place of arbitration would pose a very high, indeed probable risk of murder by cats, humans, or dogs. The magistrates found in his favor and reset the hearing for another date. And that's where the records end. So we'll never know what happened in the third and final hearing. https://www.theventagenews.com/2019/02/rats/ The platypus doesn't have nipples to feed their young with. Instead they sweat milk through their pores. Miscarriages can happen whenever, wherever. However, no matter how well you take care of yourself and your baby, what I found to be the most unbelievable part, there doesn't always have to be a cause, or at least one that you know of. Your baby can slip away and you may not know why. In the past I never thought twice about this until my first miscarriage. Now I'm pregnant again. I'm absolutely shitting myself in case it happens again. There is more time between the last Stegosaurus and the first T-Rex than there is between the last T-Rex and humans. During the Cold War, the CIA had its spies equipped with rectal toolkits in case they were caught and needed to escape. If you count every single star in the Milky Way galaxy and if you only take 1 second per star, it will take you about 12,000 years to count them all. Oh, and I was just talking about our galaxy. There are an estimated 200 billion other galaxies in the observable universe. In the last 20 years, most cancers have gone from being a death sentence to now being treatable or curable. In 15 years we went from antibodies being hard to produce to now being almost totally customizable by scientists. In the last 5 years we have managed to turn HIV into a viral vector to helping eradicate leukemia. And in the next 2 that will soon include Parkinson's, hemophilia, wet AMD, and many other once debilitating diseases. We are in a fucking golden age of medicine right now. Edit. Wet AMD is where blood vessels form in your eye and cause you to go blind. It's an incredible common disease that most people get in life. LIGO, the observatory that we use to detect gravitational waves, is so sensitive that is able to detect a change in distance between its mirrors 1/10⁻⁸ the width of a proton. This is equivalent to measuring the distance to the nearest star, some 4.2 light years, to an accuracy smaller than the width of a human hair. We have more trees on Earth than stars in the Milky Way. There are 169, 518, 829, 100, 544, 000, 000, 000, 000, 000, 000, approximately 1.70x 10 ways to play the first 10 moves in chess. 29. Additionally, the number of distinct 40-move games in chess is far greater than the number of electrons in the observable universe. They used to put lead in makeup. It is possible to live without half of your brain. While Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun, that also means it has the shortest orbit, which on average makes it the closest planet to Earth, since it passes us in its orbit so often. The guy that created Wonder Woman invented the polygraph. Betty White is older than sliced bread. Spy Kids and Machete take place in the same cinematic universe. Fig wasps are a thing that help figs grown in a horrific way. Thank you YouTube and Curiosity. Birmingham, UK has more trees than Paris and more canals, by length, than Venice. You can easily fit the entire world population in Alaska. just behind mosquitoes and humans themselves. Hippos are the third largest killer of humans in the world. Anne Frank and Martin Luther King would be the same age if they were alive today. Raspberry and vanilla flavored ice cream may be enhanced with castoreum, which is drawn from beaver anal glands. It's all natural and non-GMO. Because of universal expansion outpacing the speed of light, had our species evolved much later than it has, our observable universe would only include our galaxy. And our galaxy is all we'd be able to assume the universe contains. If you listen to people patiently, look them in the eye and ask questions that draw them out and show you are interested, you will be thought of as charming, even charismatic, and trustworthy. The man that is responsible for the creation of the Nobel Peace Prize also invented dynamite. In a Central Park there's a whisper bench in middle of park almost 18-20 ft wide. It's made up of stone and both the ends have wide handrest that curves, and if you whisper into the one end, the other person on another side can hear that. 24 people die a year in America from champagne corks. In 1222 a man pooped on his own head. Historically proven. Mozart made a song called Leck mich im Arsch, that means lick me in the ass. Wow, I didn't expect too much oranges in my basket today. There are more ways to shuffle a deck of cards than stars in the universe. 1,000 seconds is less than 17 minutes. 1,000,000 seconds is about 11.5 days. 1,000,000,000 seconds is a little more than 31 years. 8 months. 1,000,000,000,000 seconds is about 31,688 years. That human culture and behavior is almost entirely inconsistent. Since the advent of the modern field, anthropologists have been looking for the single cultural commonality among all people, and the closest they have ever come is that everyone pretty much agrees what color is true red, that is for cultures that have the word and concept of red. There are many that just have light and dark. Things many of us completely take for granted all have counterexamples throughout history and currently. Mothers will protect their kids. People fear death and choose to avoid it. Suicide is looked down upon. People enjoy and desire sex. Men want to have multiple partners and are natural leaders in less complex or ancient societies. Human cultural evolution has been so fast compared to biological evolution. Things have gone in all sorts of directions that seem completely illogical by the standards of straight up Darwinian evolution. Yet, that is how it is. Saus, I am an evolutionary biologist who spent many years first as a cultural and then a biological anthropologist. There's a disease that causes people to die for no reason called SIDS. I know this because unfortunately this is how my sister died. Ants can survive in a microwave. They are small enough to dodge the rays, and their bodies don't contain enough water to be affected. 1999 was over 20 years ago. I got laid relatively recently. The year 1990 is just as far in the past as 2050 is in the future. Dolphins use pufferfish toxins to get high. A trait that many people who have trouble making human connections have in common is not low self-confidence, low social IQs, or low empathy, but rather than they just take themselves too seriously. Taking yourself too seriously is maybe the most potent social poison. Think of all those nice guys and the incels of the world. Taking oneself too seriously makes a person a magnet for bullies and continued bullying. It makes people seem irritable, snobby, overly sensitive, and just generally not fun at all. Plus, as they say, learn to laugh at yourself and you'll be amused your whole life. It took the creator of the Rubik's Cube, Erno Rubik, 1 month to solve the cube after he created it. As of June 2018, the world record is 4.22 seconds. There are different sizes of infinity. The United States overthrew a democratically elected president in Guatemala to thwart the spread of communism in the Western Hemisphere. Body farms are a thing. Most Russians are in fact Asians. I learned this last time it was posted, but Larry Fitzgerald has more tackles than drops. It took 4 times as long for humans to switch from bronze swords to iron swords, then from iron swords to a nuclear bomb. tomatillos are more closely related to gooseberries than to tomatoes. Planet Neptune has diamond rains. A giraffe has the same number of bones in its neck as a human being. In Sweden, blood donors are notified when their blood is used. An owl does not have a horn. It is actually their canine tooth that protrudes from their head. If I were to give you $500 for every single day since Christopher Columbus arrived in the New World, 1492, it still wouldn't add up to $1 billion. When they were testing the first nuclear bomb, there was a chance it could have lit all of the hydrogen in the atmosphere on fire, killing all life on Earth. They knew this was a possibility, but they did it anyway. The fear of palindromes, a word like race car or tacocut, is spelled abophobia, which is ironically in itself a palindrome. You are more likely to be killed by a vending machine than a shark. Cleopatra lives closer to the present day than the completion of the Great Pyramid. Then T-Rex was closer to the present day than the Stegosaurus. It's not butter. That and extremely pure water dissolves metal and is extremely dangerous. All the planets in the solar system would fit between the Earth and the Moon. The Outer Bridge Crossing is a bridge named after Eugenius Harvey Outer Bridge. Astronomer here. I'm always amazed to stop and think that all my atoms were created in a star that died billions of years ago. In fact, there's good reason to believe my atoms came from multiple stars. It also amazes me BTW to think about how lucky we are to be alive now to know this. If you lived 100 years ago, you would have no way of knowing this because we didn't yet understand why stars shine and how they fuse elements. Nor would you know about the Big Bang or the sheer size of the universe. We are so lucky. You are closer in a size to the observable universe than to the Planck length, the smallest distance for which measuring makes sense. Mark Twain was born on the day when Halley's Comet flew by Earth. He said, "I came in with Halley's Comet in 1835. It is coming again next year. And I expect to go out with it." Halley's Comet next appeared on the 21st of April, 1910, which is the day Mark Twain died. Source: if sound could travel through space, the noise that the sun gives off at our distance from it is equivalent to a train horn from 1 meter away. There's a kind of jellyfish, Teratopsis dornii, called the immortal jellyfish. They can revert to being sexually immature after being adult, in theory making them live forever. In practice they do die though. https://en.wikipedia.org/wiki/teratopsis_dornii https://www.mh.org/explore/news-blogs/show-and-exhibit-posts/the-immortal-jellyfish. Australia once lost a war to emus. You are at the center of the known universe. The most asked question in our AskReddit is, what is the most unbelievable fact that is actually true? Vaccines don't cause autism. People die. I mean, do you ever think about how fucked up that is? We ask why a person dies, but really that's just asking how. No one ever asks why. It's like that Kafka story where a guy turns into a cockroach. Everybody deals with the metamorphosis in their own dysfunction way, but no one asks why the fuck did that happen. I think Kafka used the metamorphosis as a metaphor for our own blind spot for death. With the Large Hadron Collider, humans created microscopic black holes. There are more planes in the ocean than boats in the sky. Almost all blue animals are not actually blue and really just have microscopic structures that create an optical illusion to make them look blue. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe for more bloody content.